Alright guys, so in this video I'm going to share with you how to use JavaScript cookies and local storage, but more importantly which one you should use and when is the right time to use, because they are both will allow you to store your data onto your client side on a really nice way, and I'm going to show you how to do it the most easiest way to do it. So before we go any further, I just want to tell you, if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, and also don't forget to get your gift by going to codewithmark.com/gift, and in here you will get your digital gift that's going to help you speed up your web development project careers and all that good stuff. So before we get started into learning how to create this, I just want to give you a little background of what each of these can do and what are their limitations. So here's a little chart, if you will, with the features and the type of storage they are available. There's another one called session. I'm not going to go into it because I feel like this doesn't help you a lot in terms of storing data and getting it, because as soon as you close the browser down, it's going to disappear as useless for me. So I'm not going to teach you how to do that. So I'm going to teach you the stuff that actually works, and it will help you create a web application that's gonna be really great. So one of them is called cookies, and then local storage, and then there's also another one's called IndexedDB, which is part of your browser storage stuff. And I'll show you how to go about learning more about it at the end of this video. So make sure you watch this whole video so that way you know how you can use this, and it's going to be super easy to do it the way I'm going to show you how to do it. So one of them is, as far as the cookies go, it can only hold up to 4 kilobytes of data per site. So let's say you have a site called codewithmark.com and you want to use cookies for that codewithmark.com website. You could only allow to have up to 4 kilobytes of data, which is not a lot of data. And once you start storing, like, let's say 1,000 rows and 4 different storage stuff, 4 different tables with 1,000 rows, it's gonna add up fairly quickly. So the next available option, if you have a lot of data that you want to store in there, let's say for example you have a data for your lookup for some client or some kind of a stuff, or let's just say a collection of data that you don't want to go to your servers, you just want to store it into the client, so that way you can cut down the number of calls you make it to your server, and also save some resources. You can store it into your client's database by using localhost. And then also one of the things is that, as far as persistency, which means that cookies in which you can set a specific time. For example, let's say today's date is, I don't know, July 18, and you could say on July 19 expired this, and this particular data will no longer will be available, and the browser itself will delete it, which is a great feature. Unlike your local storage or your IndexedDB, you will physically or manually have to delete it. It will remain there until someone deletes it. And what kind of data type can all of these storage can hold? They can hold what it's called as a key value pair, which means, let's say you have a data type. It could be, let's say, whatever the name, so that would be the key. So let's say this is the key, cookies, and then value, in this case, if I just store this as a string, is going to be a local storage. Also, what I can do is I'll show you how to do that, which will be your JSON array, which would be multiple different data types that you can store, which will be your number, it could be a string, boolean, whatever the JSON can hold, you could put it in here as a storage in your local storage, as well as in cookies. And then as far as the accessibility goes, it can be viewed from any of your website URL. So let's say codewithmark.com, if you go there and you go to about section, you can access cookies, storage, and IndexedDB. If you go to resources section, you can also access any of those particular things. So having said all that, so now that you have a little background of how each of these things go and what are the limitations are in terms of size and capacity level. And I'm gonna go into, we'll build a little small application. It's called the JavaScript cookies and local storage. So what I'll do is I'll have this up here. I'm gonna first show you, and then we're gonna deep dive into the code. So this is the code, and if you right click on your, whether you're using Chrome or any other one, just go to, if you're using Chrome, which you should be if you're a web developer, because all the web developers use Chrome because it's the best browser out there. So you can just right click here, inspect, and then go to tab that's called applications, and you will see there are under storage, there is a local storage, there is cookies, and there is an IndexedDB, and then session storage, which I said I will not go into it because it has a limitation. So I'm not going to go into it. So ones that we're going to focus on is called the local storage as well as cookies for this particular tutorial. So I have this little, what you see, a little application for cookies. So we can do a drop down box in which we will see where the storage is going to happen. So first we will look at cookies. So if you want to look at cookies, I'll just go here. Right now, there's nothing in here that is being stored. So all I got to do is click on this create button. And then you're like, oh, nothing really happened. You hit the create button, whoopity-doo. If I refresh this, and now you'll see it has a key, which is called a name in here, called name, and then the value is code with mark, and then it has domain, which is your local host right now, so which is fine, and then it's going to set to expire in 1 day, which with the 19, and then whatever the case might be, right? So let's say if I want to get this particular cookie to get the data of it, so I can get this particular value, what I can do is go to my console, and I have this particular console log in here that says, let me zoom it in a little for you, you can see it. Maybe that right there is good. So in here, if I click on get, it's gonna go to the local storage, which would be right here. And I want to do this, so which was gonna be right here. Get this particular name, and then it's going to get the value, which is code with mark. And then if I want to update this value to JSON array, I could just click on update. It's going to say, hey, cookie updated to JSON value. If I want to get the JSON value, I click on this button that's called get JSON, and now we have this nice looking JSON array, which has a gift URL. You can go to it, name is this, and the site is this. And if I go back to my application tab, now you will see it has this particular string, which is known as the JSON string. And then if I want to delete it, I click on this delete button, and then refresh this, and it'll be gone. And if I go back to my right over here, try to get it, it's gonna say, hey, there's nothing there. If I try to do the update, there's nothing to update, even though it says it. And then if I try to get it, and then that's that. And the reason why it updates it because it adds another string to it, so you will see. And then if I close this out, and I'll go to my local storage now, let's go there, and then go to applications. So I'll just go over here. So just to show you, if I refresh this browser before I go there, so because it is set to expire on the 19th, and this particular one is set to cookies, I can go over here and click on this button to get JSON. Then it's gonna give me this value, even though I refresh the browser, so it doesn't really matter. So just to show you, if I close this particular tab, or I open up another tab, let's say I go here and open up the inspect window, go to console, and then click on get JSON, and it will still get it. So no matter if I close this application, bring it up, close it up, and then reopen it, it will still give you that particular data. All right. So now we're gonna look at the local storage one. So if I go over here right now, my local storage, and there is nothing in here. So we're gonna say go to local storage, pick this, create it, then it's gonna add this name, and then if I go over here, I'll clear this out, get the value, it's gonna right now is coming from. As you can see, local storage value is this. And if I update it, it's going to update it local storage. If I try to get it, so let me clear this out, and there it is. So right now, this is the value coming from your local storage, just to show you that it did update it. If I go over here, now my local storage has the value of this. And if I delete it, it automatically gets deleted. And if I go over here, cookies, and scroll down to cookies, and if I refresh it, it's still there. If I delete it and refresh it, and it's gone. So having said that, this is pretty cool. So now I'm gonna show you the code that will make all of this happen. And so far, if you're enjoying this, you're like, this is pretty cool, I can actually use this in my application, subscribe to the channel so that way you get more helpful videos just like this one that's going to help you create amazing, awesome applications for your web development projects. All right, so let's look at the code. And right now I'm using because I'm started to use this Visual Studio Code editor. It is pretty neat, and I must say it helps out speed up your process of your code editing. Definitely. All right, so let's move on. So we got the regular HTML, so let's build up the basic stuff. So I'll put it over here, this over here. So this is side by side. So this is your regular, this is my regular, no, don't go too fast. All right, so this is the container that I have. Basically, it's just your h2 tag and then a couple of buttons right here where it says get, create, get, update, get JSON, and then there's a drop-down box that will help identify what kind of storage type it is. And there are CSS classes assigned to it, the create. And you guys know, if you have watched any of my previous video, I like using classes instead of IDs. That's just my personal preference. So in here, I am using this particular btn underscore create. That's gonna be, this event will happen when someone click on this create button. And then there's get, update, get JSON, delete. Pretty self-explanatory, so I'm not gonna bog too much down into it. So this is like, okay, literally labeled whatever that particular button is. So let's scroll down. So I'm gonna zoom out of here so it looks a little pretty. All right, so then we have the storage type, which will be cookies, and the value is C. If it's local storage, then the value is ls. All right, so this is not being used, so I would just ignore it, or hell, I even delete it just to keep things organized. And now we're gonna move into our JavaScript part of the code, which is gonna be pretty cool. So this is the first one, which is the index one, which means this is going to be the key name for your regular key pair value. And then we have the value, which is this one right here, assigned to this variable, which is S1, S2, and then that's it. For your S1 value, it's just a regular string. Your storage can be a string, can be a number, can be a boolean, can be any of your data type that you want it to be. It can also be a JSON array, as you can see right here. This is just your JSON array right here with 3 different objects, which is the name, which has a value of code with mark, then has a site, which has a value with codewithmark.com, and then a gift underscore URL, which is codewithmark.com/gift. So it has 3 different objects with 3 different values, and that's that. So let's move on. So next part of it, which is your code. So I'm gonna make this a little bigger. All right, so the next part is your cookie part of it, which is your JavaScript cookies. This particular function, it takes 3 parameters, and it's going to give you the option to add the cookie. And then you can ask the name of it, the name of the cookie, whatever you want to call it. So in this case, I called it name for your regular string. And then the value, which will be in this case, the very first one will be just code with mark with underscores, and then the days that is going to expire after a while. I wrote this function. This is going to help you just speed up your cookie creation process with JavaScript. And then basically what that means is like this particular parameter is going to set the, hey, after X amount of days expire this particular cookie. And then it's going to go into, let's say if you added one here as a parameter, it's going to go time 24 times 6 times that, and it's going to go to nanosecond. Then it's going to convert all of this into your JavaScript date and time, assign it to that. But if you don't care about that, if you want to just assign a basic cookie, all you got to do is click on document.cookie and then the name equal whatever that cookie value is. You can assign it to this. But if you use this function, it's going to help you out a lot because you just pull in 3 different things and you can save yourself writing these 4 different lines, every single one of them. Right, so this is how you assign your cookie. And then to get it, because what happens is, let's say if you assign a cookie name, name, another one could be name 2, another one could be name 3, 4, 5, 6, so on and so forth. So you're gonna have all these different cookies. With this particular function, you can specify, let's say if you have a cookie name 1, it's gonna go loop through all of those cookies. And if it finds the name of that particular cookie, it's going to give you the value of that particular cookie. And then whatever you assigned it, it's going to give it to you, and then it will return it. If it cannot find it, it's just going to return a false or null. And then this particular function is going to help you out a lot. And if you want to delete your cookie, so for example, if it's set to expire, let's say tomorrow or another day, and you're like, hey, I want to update it because I no longer want to use that particular JavaScript cookie, you can set that particular time, like I would say, expire on. You can say Thursday, January 1st, or 1st January 1997. So anything that's in the past, it's gonna make that cookie be gone. So like a cookie monster will come in and eat it, and then it's gone. That's what's gonna happen. All right, so this is how these 3 functions is gonna really help you speed up your JavaScript cookie creation, deletion, and also update part of it as well. All right, let's move on. So when someone clicks on this get create button, then the first thing what it's going to do is going to go look at this particular drop down box, whatever that value is, whether it is cookies or local storage. It's going to get that, and then based on whatever the value that is set to this, if it's C, then it means we are adding a cookie. If it's ls, that means we are adding a local storage. If we are adding a cookie, like I said, a function over here, it takes 3 parameters: the name of the index, the value, and how many days that is going to expire. All right. So we just put this in here, so we already know the name for the index 1 is just name, and the value is code underscore mark underscore, code with mark with 2 underscores. That's how you do it with your cookies. For your local storage, it's very, very simple. You literally use the word local storage this way, and then period set item, and it takes the 2 parameter. This is just a plain JavaScript syntax. You don't need anything fancy. That's why I didn't put it in there. And that's that. And then it's going to take 2 parameter, which is the first one is your index, whatever the name it is. And second parameter is your value, whatever value that you want to set to. And that's that. And then I'm just using your JavaScript console log to say added. And then I am using whatever the particular text of this particular selection box is. And you could use it by using this particular jQuery syntax to get the text of that. And that's why you're able to see. Let me just show you. If I go here, console log, if I say create it, and then it's going to say, hey, cookie, because that's what it is. Added cookies, that's what it is. So whatever is in the drop down box, that's what's going to add it. All right, let's move on, shall we? So if you are enjoying this so far and you're like, this is awesome, I love it, smash that like button, click on that subscribe channel if you haven't already done so, and then you can also go on to this URL to get your digital gift. All right, so let's move on. And then we're gonna do the same process to get the cookie. You already know what to do. And then to get the local storage, there is another one, function within the JavaScript. It's called get item. You put that in here and you put in the index, whatever that is. In that case will be name. And then I just signed it to variable call. v1 is gonna give you the value of it for same thing for the cookie, and that's it. And then now if you want to update to your JSON, we're gonna go over here first, and then we're gonna come back to how to get it. And then over here, if you want to update it to JSON, just like we added the cookie, we'll just add a JSON value of it, which will be your v2 s2 value. So if you go all the way up, and this right here, remember the JavaScript Stringify, this is like your JavaScript JSON value. It stringifies it because if you try not to do it, and this is the thing, if you don't do this, then it's gonna put it as an object, and it doesn't work very well either on cookies or your local storage. So this is, you have to put that in here. That's what I learned. So you put that particular thing in here, it's gonna make your a JSON array added easily, and you can easily access it as well. So that is what's happening in our update part of it. So we're using JSON. This is the value index 2, and then actually this is the get one. We want to go to the update one, so it's right here. So in here we're saying the name equals to value number 2, which is a JSON array, and then it's going to expire for cookies in 1 day. And then same thing will happen for your local storage. You're going to set item index name, and then value will be JSON array, and then it updates it here. Same process. And now when we get it back, we have to do something a little different. So getting it back is the same process like we did with the regular one. We are getting it, and once again, this particular storage type, I don't think I need to tell you that if you haven't already figured it out. And by the way, if you want to get this code, there's going to be a link in the description. You could just cut, copy, paste to the functions that I showed you, and also this whole particular file, whatever you see here, you could just literally just copy it, paste it into your project, and you should be able to figure this thing out, or be able to implement it, not figure it out, because I figured it out for you. So it's that simple. So reason why I'm saying is this particular storage type is whatever you click on this, that's what is going to identify it as a, hey, this is a cookie, this is a local storage. So adding a cookie, we already went to the process. In this time around, we are getting a JSON array, because in the update process, we added as a JSON. And the name, we did not change it, still is name, so we're just going to get it. And another thing what I want to show you, which is pretty cool, I literally just found that out, in your jQuery, if you're using it, if you use this particular function of jQuery, it will tell you what is the object type it is, whether it is a string, whether it is a your JSON array object. So if you want to like find out whether this is the object or, you know, whatever, you can literally just use this particular function and then put it in whatever you think that is, and it's gonna tell you like this is what this is. So this is pretty cool. So I just found that out today. I'm like, oh, this is cool, so I'm gonna share it with you. So just to show you, if I click over here, let's just say I want to update it, whatever. So here it is. So I'll clear this out. If I click on JSON, and where is it? Get JSON. So why didn't it show up? All right, so there's this, oh, because I put it in other one. All right, so let's update it. I'm gonna clear this out. Okay, JSON. So this one, it tells you it is string, and the reason why is because why is it not coming up? because if I wrap this around this particular thing, which will make it a JSON. All right, if I refresh it and maybe one more. All right, so if I click it now it's gonna say, okay, we're on cookies, we don't want cookies. And now you'll see before it says a string, now it's an object, which is pretty cool. So if you have the right format of everything, it's gonna tell you this is an object, and then you can move forward. All right, and this one right here, which is your regular JavaScript function, is called Json.parse. What that's gonna do is it's gonna make your Stringify, which is, let me just show you. Let's go to local storage right over here, which is right here. It doesn't make it here, but if you add it in your cookies, you will see how it looks. So it looks like this. This is like a string. So this is what it's called, a Stringify. So it's gonna make your this kind of data, which is your Stringify. Let me zoom this up a little. So which is right over here. It's gonna make it into JSON with this particular function, which is a JavaScript function. So that's that. And then if we want to delete it super easy. And I showed you how to do it in cookies with the function, and with local storage, you just add the remove item, and that's it. So hopefully that was helpful and you enjoyed it. And if you really did, please give it a thumbs up, and also subscribe to the channel, so that way more of these helpful videos will come towards you, and that way you can actually build a pretty cool applications. All right, so last thing I want to show you, which is your IndexedDB. You can go to this particular URL, which is your Dixie. I think that's how you pronounce it, Dixie. And you could just Google it, or you can go to DEXI. Well, it's DEXIE.org, or you could just literally just Google this particular thing, and this will help you use your IndexedDB. And I could create a video, but I feel like they have done such a great job, and I have used this particular library before, that I think you will be better off just using this. So hopefully this was helpful. If it is, let me know in the comments. And as I always say, happy coding, guys.